Rose night.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wish You Were a Beer Show. Thank you so much for stopping by, as always. If you're unfamiliar with this show, this is a live beer review show that we do every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, here through YouTube. You can also find it live on Facebook and Twitter, whatever your necessary evil is. Again, thank you for everybody for stopping by. If you pay attention to the bottom of the screen, that has all of our social media handles where you can find us. It also has our website, wishyourebeershow.com. Please stop by there anytime you get a chance. That's where you can find all of our past episodes. You can find all the upcoming episodes. We try to keep a decent schedule on there as much as we can with a live show like this. And you can also find our merch store.
Killer merch, sir. Are you wearing something from it?
I am. This is a brand new one for me. So this is the first piece of actual Wish You Were a Beer Show paraphernalia I even own. That's how important this one is. It's a lightweight hoodie. It's very thin. It's great for fall. But please stop by the website and say hello to us there. If you want to support us, that's an easy way to do is go buy some merch, keep the show going. But pretty easy to find us anywhere that you can because we're everywhere, anywhere that we can.
Huge on TikTok.
Good Lord. If you already follow us on TikTok, I apologize for all the notifications you're getting about how good we are at it.
It goes Matt Rife, Wish You Were a Beer Show.
Matt Rife, Wish You Were a Beer
We're
Show.
catching up to him.
God, that is gold. Yeah, not even close. But we'll get there with the support of viewers like you.
Just buy one shirt and we'll get there. That's all.
And if you're familiar with us, you're obviously already aware that our co-host Tiffany is not here tonight. And yes, I did steal your sweatshirt, and it fits like a glove. Good Lord.
Great start.
Yeah, off to a roaring start, like the 20s. If you're not familiar with us, I'm Daniel. That man over there on the other side in the murder room is Phil. Our other way better looking co-host is currently not here tonight. She's traveling, but Tiffany is in the comment section, so make sure you say hello to her as well. We've got a great show lined up. We're going to have a fantastic beer like we do every week. We were lucky enough to nab Nathan out of Shanty Shack. He's down in the waiting room, so we're going to drag him in here shortly so that you can hear from him as well. But first things first, just like we do every week, we have one quick short segment that we're going to blow through so we don't burn too much of Nathan's time tonight. It's beer news. I don't know if you guys are familiar. God, I fucking love that intro. So if you're not familiar, we do this every week. We just take a quick snippet out of whatever the headlines are in the beer industry in some capacity that week, whether it's beer directly or beer adjacent. Tonight, it's kind of beer adjacent, and I thought it was interesting, less about the product, but more about how it's potentially going to be taken in the industry. But there's a brand out there that has already gone public, both in the stock market and from their business model. They've been pulling it in the UK for a couple of years. It's about to come to America, but it's called Safety Shot. And basically it's claims that it can cut your blood alcohol content in half an hour.
Yeah, so I'd still be wasted.
Correct. And so I thought this was crazy because they do have a patent on this. It is borderline approved through the FDA currently, which is why you see it popping up in like Forbes magazine and places like that, because it's about to come to America. It's been in the UK for a couple of years now. But my favorite argument on it is less about the product itself. I hope it works. It sounds like a great hangover cure. But everyone on Reddit and other places are arguing about how much it's going to be abused. So how do you get to have 12 drinks at a bar, do a safety shot, wait 30 minutes, and then go have 12 more beers, do a safety shot, go have 12 more beers?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, part of like this sort of experience, like if you're going to overdrink, you got to kind of pay for your consequences of overdrinking.
Otherwise you don't learn. I agree.
We come up with something that solves that, and it's like, all right, great. And which, you know, you could take either way. When I was reading in the article, it was like they're putting in a lot of hospitals right now to just kind of help people get down, and hopefully it's a safe way. Correct. I just kind of wonder what this stuff does to your body. And at the end of the day, what are we doing here?
No, I agree. And I think maybe there's just enough research on it coming from the UK to begin with. And they've already gone public as a company. You can buy stock in them currently on NASDAQ. But maybe there's just enough research that they figured out that this doesn't totally wreck your body just as much as having 12 more beers. I don't know. I can't speak to it.
But then what happens if you have 12 more beers after having this shot? Now what's going on in your body?
But at that point, you have to go to work the next day.
I think you got bigger problems at that point.
I agree. I thought if you go to Forbes, or you can also just Google it, Safety Shot is the brand name. There's a couple of different articles written about it currently that came out in the past probably 2 to 3 weeks. Go read any one of them. They're really interesting because most of them have a similar take on how potentially bad this could be versus how potentially good it could be. Because the brand itself came out to try to curb a violent type of alcoholism, of how to immediately, almost like Narcan, how to immediately lower somebody's blood alcohol if they are truly an addict and truly overusing, how to bring them down to a safe place. And that's where they started the company and where it comes from, which is a great pure place. And then, like Tiffany hit on earlier in the comments, college is going to be rough though, because somebody's going to abuse the shit out of this.
I mean, it's like everything. It's like with AI being so popular right now, there's awesome uses for it, sure, but there's also, it's going to end the world at the same time.
And Allen Iverson hasn't played for decades. I don't know what you're talking about.
Destroying the world right now.
Allen Iverson destroyed the world years ago. The OG AI. Oh, Lord of mercy. So
would you take one of these shots, Daniel?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I would try it just to see. I would probably be the far end of this study. I would get fucked up on purpose and try it to see what it does. In a safe environment, like not, like
in the car. Yeah.
I'd come home, drink 12 beers, try the safety shot, and see if I sleep and go to work the next day.
Sounds about right.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was laughing in the article about how it brought up how like the business of getting drunk costs money because people don't go to work or don't work hard the next day. And like, that's the biggest concern of all of this.
Yeah, it's amazing to me the Irish exist for that same reason. All right, so again, I mentioned earlier tonight we are doing a beer from Shanty Shack, which is out of Santa Cruz. Nathan was kind enough to join us. We are going to jump into a portion of the show, but I do want to bring him on for just a second to say hello to him and give him a chance to speak his piece before I throw him into trivia that he is not privy to yet, which is going to be a blast.
All right, you'll be right in here, Nathan, right after this amazing Oktoberfest screen.
Oh, good Lord, Nathan. I'm so sorry. That's the first time you've seen that intro.
Hey.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, we're just, it's like happy hour over here in California. We're about to get some rain, but we have a band tonight, so we're trying to soak it up before, the cold, wet winter and small businesses struggle. So anybody listening out there, go support your small businesses.
I love it. I love it. And also, it's never been cold in California. Don't lie to me about dumb shit, Nathan.
Yeah, you're right.
So, Nathan, I love that you're currently in the brew house. I mean, obviously, you're at Shanty Shack. I've seen that backdrop a million times.
It's the only kind of quiet place in the whole building right now. So
yeah, I love it. So you guys have a band tonight? Have they started yet?
No, they're about to, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I love it. and it's not a huge space, so I'm excited that the band will eventually take over this conversation, which is wonderful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We have a 3-barrel system in a 2,000 square foot building. We have a nice big patio with outdoor seating and things like that. But yeah, it's a very, very small space.
Yeah.
I think our bathrooms take up about half of our tasting. So yeah.
I love it. So we were actually lucky enough out there recently. Tiffany, who's my co-host, who's traveling currently, she's from Santa Cruz originally. So we were out there recently, and me, Phil, Vero, who does a lot of work for the show, Tiffany, a couple of brewers from here in Virginia. We all got to hang out on that patio. Me and Tiffany spent like 4 days out there. Everybody else was only lucky enough to have a day or two out there, specifically at Shanty Shack. So I love seeing that backdrop, and we were lucky enough. I think we met your wife, who actually gave me your cell phone number, which I didn't abuse, by the way.
Oh. Yeah, Button. Yeah, she's the one who books. She's the mastermind behind all the music. So
Yeah,
she finds them, but she gets some great bands. Yeah.
I love it. I told her, I was like, hey, like we do a beer show. Like Tiffany, my wife's from this area, and she's like, that's great. I was like, what beer should we do? And she handed us this Kettle Sour, and she's like, everybody really loves this one here currently. Oh, if you need to reach my husband, here's this direct phone number. I was like, I'll try Instagram first. Let's see what happens.
No, that's lovely. That's great. Yeah, she drinks a lot of the Kettle Sour. We do a lot of Kettle Sours here. They're just such great fruit-forward, easy drinking styles. A lot of people are a little scared of sours. You know, I call the Kettle Sours sort of like baby sours because it's your intro to sour loveliness. But you gotta ease in. Sometimes if you just jump straight to the barrel aged stuff, it just puckers too much. It's like a little too crazy.
The barrel aged stuff is where I live, Nathan. So I'm thankful for you doing the Lord's work to get everyone to the barrel aged stage.
Yeah, we'll get them all there. You know, once we get therapy, then we get people onto Kettle Sours and eventually onto like barrel aged sours. Yeah,
That's right.
Now, Nathan, for other people, not me, who have no idea what we're talking about here.
Wait, don't ruin history and facts.
No, people will just have to remember this if we get into it. I'm going to ask him it now because I'm here. I'm wondering. We keep saying the word Kettle Sour.
Right.
I don't see the word Kettle Sour on every sour. Go through this sour differences and what's going on here.
Yeah. Basically, sours. There's like I would say there's basically 2 types. There's like the types where you the old school type, the Belgian style type, where you kind of let beer just get sour naturally, and that's from bacteria and wild yeast, Brettanomyces, and different things falling into the beer and creating different kind of organic acids that make the beer sour. Those beers take a long time to turn around. They take about a year or so of fermentation. Because the wild yeast is just a slow mover, hasn't been domesticated the way that we love to do to everything and make it do it faster, smarter, harder, whatever. Wild yeast just wants to survive, so it takes a long time. The Kettle Sours is sort of like the better brewing through science mode. And so we've learned that it's the bacteria that's responsible for creating the lactic acid in the beer that tastes sour. So if you isolate the bacteria and let them have a crack at the fermenting the beer first, they can do a really good job and drop the pH overnight. And so the reason it got the term kettle sour is you would typically do that process in the kettle, and you would just add yogurt or something into the kettle after the beer's been boiled and kind of cooled down to like not boiling, but like still warm, like 100, 120 degrees. Some brewers used to just add straight yogurt to the beer. We use a pure culture of Lactobacillus plantarum that we get out of the Good Belly containers that you can find in the grocery store. I don't know, maybe they might not be in every grocery store, but it's like a health drink, and it's just a great cultured up source of Lactobacillus. So we throw that in the beer, and overnight the beer goes like super sour, and then we boil it because it's already in the kettle. We bring it up to temperature and it kills the bacteria. Then we can ferment it on the same timeline as like an IPA or something similar, so that it's not taking up our our kettles or our fermenters for like a year, like a barrel aged sour.
Yeah, so basically you're, in layman's terms, you're looking at cutting the production time way more than in half, similar to why everybody brews IPAs, because it's less tank space. It's you can turn and burn them, pump them out. It's great for hazy IPAs in our area, IPAs in general. Like, great, you're 2 weeks out from having a brand new beer on whatever system you're working on.
Yeah, true. And we spend the time with our kettle sours. We still don't like crank them as fast as our IPAs. We like to use a French saison yeast. That's sort of like
You beautiful bastard. I know.
It's still fresh beer. It's still fresh beer, but it still takes like six weeks or so. That yeast, as brewers would say, dusty. It takes a long time for it to settle out, but it does a really good job of drying it out. So we get close to that barrel aged kind of idea, but the sourness is more palatable. It's not over the top. You have a little more control on it, and it makes a great palate for fruit. So fruit on those kettle sours is awesome.
Yeah.
Without fruit, barrel aged ones stand better because they got more character from the wild yeast.
Correct. Yeah, I can stand by these statements, and I don't even brew beer. I just drink a shit ton of it. So yes.
Got knowledge by experience.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm trained by experience, not by knowledge, which is two different animals there. All right. So I know you jumped on the show a little bit later than normal. So we're about to run a section of the show where we're going to play a little bit of trivia, all of which you'll be fine with, I promise. All these answers are basic for you. So if you'll join us at Kahoot, here's the game pen number. You can play along with us, put your answers in. It is a speed-based game. So even if you know the right answer, more points are given for whoever picks the correct answer the fastest. So if you haven't already downloaded this, if you need the game pen, take a minute or two, go follow along with that. But I also don't want you to miss somewhat of our new history and facts. Biblical shit going on there, man. So our original history and facts, like scroll screen like that, was something that we made up like day one, and we were like, we'll never change it. And then Phil made that graphic, and I was like, whoa, we obviously changed it. This one's even first. So again, this is not a true trivia show. We'll do a whole trivia show down the line. But we are going to play trivia the same way we did on our first episode of this season. So if you're logged into Kahoot, go find it and play along. And let's see if Nathan knows his own beer. Why Joe give me shit about my hat? Oh, it's because it's Red Stapler. What's up, Joe? Sorry. All right. So the co-owners of Shanty Shack Brewing, Brandon and Nathan, both attended what college that our co-host Tiffany also attended?
Ooh.
University of California, Santa Cruz, Cabrillo College, Swanton Pacific Branch, USC.
That got answered real fast. We have one for University of Santa Cruz and what is it?
Cabrillo.
Cabrillo?
It's a basic Spanish word, Phil. Have you never
heard
Honestly,
Spanish
it's
before.
like you've never seen another language, and it's amazing to me. Tiffany says, "Oh, I know this one." So, Nathan, y'all had met prior, but you ended up running back into each other at Cabrillo, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we had met as home brewers. Brandon worked at the homebrew shop here in town, and I was just like probably the biggest customer of the homebrew shop, and we would always talk recipes. And then I saw him in a business class at Cabrillo, and I was like, oh, this guy's not here to start a .com business. He's here to start a brewery. And so that began our relationship ever since.
Yeah, I love that because it was funny when I was reading up on you guys to some degree. It was like, oh yeah, homebrew shop, because we have a couple of homebrew shops out here, and we have a couple of breweries out here that all started from similar roots of either a homebrew store that people just came into and they started a partnership, or a homebrew store that sought out another homebrew store and they're like, we should just brew in general. And so I was reading y'all's story. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Like we just ended up in the same places all the time talking about the same shit and then eventually ran back into each other, which is such a fun story because otherwise your damn brewery wouldn't be there, right?
Right. Homebrew shops were definitely the crucible of knowledge back when we were getting going in the early 2000s. Like I gotta say, like probably half the breweries in Santa Cruz all had somebody who worked at Seven Bridges, the original homebrew shop here in Santa Cruz, or like came from there. All the great breweries in Santa Cruz.
And so
came from there.
With the homebrew scene out in Santa Cruz, again, I'm East Coast. I'm born and raised in Virginia, and the homebrew shops have been around since probably late 80s, early 90s with some regularity. Has it always been that popular out there as well? Has there always been a scene for it, or is that something that's come along with the beer industry?
It was always kind of I don't know. I think the homebrew scene kind of came out in the 90s down here, and people were digging it because that was how you could get good beer. And then it kind of turned into like, oh, you can make craftier, interesting, more interesting beers yourself. And now it's kind of faded because all the people that started homebrewing started opening breweries, and now you buy all the good beer. And so, I always say for homebrewers, like, you try one batch and it's kind of the make or break batch. It's like it's either turns out okay and you might try again, or it turns out terrible and you never pick up the stuff that you just paid a bunch of money for, and you just go down to the local pub and you buy it. And that's true more than ever nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. One of our local homebrew places, who also owns a nano-brewery connected to the homebrew shop, so 1700 Brewing, he does that. So he makes beer. He has 3 other brewers involved, but whenever he makes his own beer that's connected to the homebrew shop, he puts his whole recipe up there and lets you come in and buy the smaller scale of it.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
I think is fun, because then you can go in there, try the beer, and be like, damn, I'm a home brewer. Like, I like that beer. I wonder how this and how this melded together. And if you just go next door, there's the whole recipe for it. Like, no secrets involved. Go ahead. Like, have that.
I think one thing that came out of home brewing that like all home brewers share is just the desire for everybody to be making good beer. You know, it's like as a home brewer, you're trying to make the best beer you can and show all your friends. And if you have another home brewer, you're like, hey, how can you do it better? So like everybody's just looking out for each other. Like there was a lot in the Santa Cruz beer scene too. Like coming out of the home brewer world. Like all the brewers here are pretty good, tight knit. I mean, we're all busier than hell, but we all look out for each other. And like, if we're short on yeast or short on cans or short on hops, like we can hit each other up and kind of trade and get each other's backs.
That's one of my favorite things about the beer scene in general is specifically that. Like, we're all in business, and we're all in business to make money, and we're all competition, but you guys need anything? Like, you need help with something? Like, how do we make this work together? Because it's better for the community if we all succeed.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in question number 2. I think everyone.
Oh, shit, this one's in depth, Nathan. No, you already answered this, so hopefully everybody was paying attention. All right, so kettle sours are typically brewed with what strain of yeast? Lactobacillus. Can you give me the rest of these, Nathan? Because you're way smarter than I am.
Brettanomyces, Saccharomyces.
Correct. Daniel Myces is made up. That's my name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now I feel bad that I asked you to answer that, because I'm like, no, that one's fucked up. No, that's a made up one. I don't remember that one at all.
Lactose, whatever.
I mean, lactobacillus. I feel like you should know that one, Phil.
Nope.
Technically, wrong answer, because a lactobacillus is a bacteria. If you're asking for a strain, kettle sours are brewed with Saccharomyces, which is brewer's yeast.
Correct.
Oh shit.
You know what's funny is when I sent Phil these questions, I was like, Oh, there's gonna be an argument on this one. I was like, 'cause technically it's the right answer and the wrong answer, because brewer's yeast is gonna be different than the bacteria strain. Then I was like, it's fine. We'll let Nathan sort it out.
We'll plow through it and go right into the next question.
Oh, I'm terrified. I remember the next question. Oh, this is the easy one. What year did Shanty Shack Brewing officially open its doors for business? 15, 16, 17, or 18?
Ooh.
2016.
Oh,
Don't give the answer, Nathan.
Oh,
now everyone knows.
we're already on the speed like voting. My bad.
I love that you answered your own question like, fuck, I got this one.
I got this one. Yeah. We in the year of the class of 2016. I think it was us, Humble Sea, and East Cliff Brewing, which is
Yeah.
no longer there. But yeah.
So the 16 is crazy because my wife and I, Tiffany, and Tiffany's from that area. One of the first years we went out there was probably 2 years after you guys opened at that point then. And like the first time I was out there, it felt already weirdly established for the space you were in, for the type of venue you were, the beers you were putting out. I never would have guessed that number until I looked it up, which is weird.
Yeah, well, we'll be coming on 7 years this December. So that's hopefully we can go another 7 or more.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have any issue with that because I got time.
Hey, Daniel, that was question 3.
Yeah. Oh, we can drink this fucking beer now.
You can
You're
finally
right.
crack open this beer. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So again, tonight we are doing the Rainbow Sherbet. It's a kettle sour. It's from Shanty Shack Brewing, which is out of Santa Cruz, California. If you're not familiar with it, read a book. Could you imagine?
It's got a real almost grapefruity looking color coming out of here.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be that way?
Yeah,
It is now.
those cans might be a little bit old, you guys.
They're not that old.
They're not that old.
We were there in September. So it's not that old.
So Nathan, I live on the island of St. Martin in the Caribbean. This beer has gone from Santa Cruz to St. Martin back to Massachusetts where I am now. So this thing's been traveling around.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
So I'm sure it's real fresh at this point.
Hey, cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yours is the same color. You just have different lighting.
This is a different one, but it's similar.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, no. All right, so now when you talk about like fruit forward, like especially with like a tart beer like this, so raspberries, pineapples, and tangerine. Is there a rhyme or reason when you're kettle souring something, what fruit concoctions you come up with, or are you just, I like these 3 fruits, let's throw them in the kettle sour?
With the Rainbow Sherbet, we were trying to go after like the trinity of Rainbow Sherbet, which is tangerine, pineapple. Well, I think in the ice cream, pineapple, berry. We just couldn't get our hands on any oranges at the time, so we went with tangerine. But it's kind of cool the way that those flavors like pull your tongue around. You know, it all spreads around. It's great.
Now, Nathan, you said this was like a kettle sour is like a good way to introduce yourself to a sour, right?
Yeah.
Why exactly? Because this seems very, very sour. This seems like a strong.
Because you're a basic level beer drinker. No. Don't argue with Nathan on this shit.
I'm just saying, to me, this seems like a very strong sour. So
no, this is basic sour. Like I agree with Nathan. I'm like, nothing bit me in the tongue. I didn't like sneeze.
It fucking punched me in the face when I first took a sip, but maybe it's just where my mouth's at.
Nancy.
Well, are you getting the gleeking sensation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's gotten a little sour.
I think it's inexperienced because I agree with you. This is kettle sours in general, or sours are not always my go-to in any capacity. So kettle sours are usually where I live for that same reason, because they're not as tart, they're not as crazy. That wild yeast tends to do crazy things to to an actual sour, that barrel process, where it can really knock you over, like just from the smell, like eyes watering, like ugh.
Yeah. This one you can kind of slug back a little bit more. It's like almost a different, like I call the barrel aged sours like more like sipping sours, and the kettle sours more like quaffing sours.
Yeah.
But there has been a trend in the kettle sour worlds where people are trying to over sweeten it, because like some people still have a disposition not to like sour, which is only human, you know. But we all love sweetness. We're all designed, trained animals to just love sweetness, and so people have been putting lactose, which is technically a milk sugar, and it's undigestible by brewer's yeast, which is why it can remain in beer, and you can use it to like back sweeten a beer.
Yep.
And so that's become a popular thing in kettle sours. So then it'll say sour, but it'll actually taste kind of more like a sour sweet.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorites, because I think as soon as you start adding lactose to it in any capacity, it takes away from the base of the beer, which is a good sour beer. And when you add lactose to it, it gets really sweet and really sugary, like for no reason. And it takes away from some of the good things that make a sour a good sour.
All right. So far, the score, my other pants is in the lead.
So everyone got kicked out of the original one. So I'm glad my other pants logged back in.
Yeah.
Well done.
We did have an issue with it. We are back. Let's go to this next one.
And we're back.
We're back.
Oh, I think this is my favorite question. Oh, no. Second favorite question. What's the ideal pH range of a kettle sour? 4.5 to 4, 3.6 to 3, 3.9 to 3.5, 3.0 to 2.5.
That's too many numbers, Daniel. I don't even know. Wait, actually, Nathan, if you know this one, answer it quick.
I would say the
Oh,
what a perfect time to cut out. Fucking gold.
I like to think that was his choice too. It didn't happen on accident.
Oh, God, that is gold. You couldn't plan that shit any better than that. God. All right, Phil. I gave you the answers. So, what is the answer, sir?
It was a 3 point. It was C, whatever.
Correct.
We missed.
So it's just like anything else. So when you think about a sour, obviously, so when they add things to the kettle, the yeast is going to be more aggressive, which is going to bring up the acidity. So when you're talking about the pH scale, lower the number, higher the acidity. Too low, you get wild, and you get some weird shit. Yes, 3 to 3.6 is right in the range. There's some argument on that. Some people take it as high as 4, and some people take it lower than 3. Again, a lot of that's personal taste, but when you're looking for an ideal kettle sour, the pH is within that range, 3 to 3.6. Historically, somebody will argue with me on that, and go fuck yourself. Start your own show.
All right, well, let's just keep trivia rolling.
Oh, there's one more trivia question, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
My other
this
pants
is an easy one.
doing it.
Well, Team Money's coming in a tight.
It's coming up. This is a big one. And remember, people, answer quick, and you get more points. Here we go. Oh, it's true or false. Fitty fitty.
Shanty Shack's one of Daniel's favorite menus in Santa Cruz. It's not rocket science, people. And no one selected anything. 50-50, and no one has selected. 7. This is what it feels like to be live on air when the camera's bucking up. 2, 1.
Ooh, but who answered it the fastest? The final score here. So Dan, this is one of your favorites?
It is one of my favorites. Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it's the other pair of pants. Oh, wait, hold on. Who? Not the other pair. My other pants.
My other pants.
6 and 1, half a dozen the other. Congratulations, my other pants. We will send you my other pants. You don't want them. I'm not wearing any underwear. Now, Yeah, I honestly, so I fell in love with this brewery the first time I was ever out in Santa Cruz. Tiffany, I went out there to visit her family, and I love this damn brewery. It's tiny. It's 2,000 square feet. It's a lot of outdoor space. It's a lot of local artisans, a lot of local people coming in there with any regularity. They make beer for the community. They do a lot of community events. I fell in love with this place since day one, and lucky enough, again, when we were out there in September, Phil, Vero, Kevin and Abby, Andy and Katie, like everybody got to go out to this coast and experience some of these places as well. And it literally is one of my favorite places out there, because just like Nathan being on the show, super laid back, the venue is extremely comfortable. Come as you are, like no worries. If you don't know shit about beer, come in and have a good beer. If you know everything about beer, they probably have a good beer for you as well. So I'm always going to be a big fan of this place, which is probably a little biased for me, but I'm going to shit on this beer as soon as we get to the review.
Are you ready to review this beer?
I think we should, but we're 36 minutes in. Let's review this bitch.
All right.
I think we have a new slide for that.
What?
We have. Oh, sorry, I was banging out. If you're unfamiliar with the show, Phil has created some amazing slides that we find out about every week because we're only like 2 episodes into this season, so they're all new to us. That's a banger slide. I don't care who you are. I don't care what beer is involved. That's a good slide.
It's a great slide.
So this is the portion of the show where we're going to review the beer. Again, tonight we are drinking a Rainbow Sherbet Kettle Sour from Shanty Shack Brewing out of Santa Cruz, California. We do review our beers through Untapped. Brewers hate it. Beer drinkers love it. Call it what you will. But if you want to follow us on Untapped, you can follow the show handle as well as our individual handles. It's in the About section. Come play along with us and see where we drink beer with some regularity. But let's talk about this beer tonight, the Rainbow Sherbet. I'm interested, Phil, to hear from you because I'm surprised this one hit as tart as it did for you.
You know, it still is too. And it might have been, it's either because I was expecting it not to, because he said it was kind of like a intro type of thing. Yeah. It could, you know, based on what you've eaten that day, what you drank that day, you know, like it can also just be, my tongue's just feeling it more than it normally would. Yeah. This thing like punched me in the face when I first took a sip of it. And you know, I love, you call something a sour, I'm all for it. So I wasn't mad about it.
Sour.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
Can art is perfect for a place called Shanty Shack.
Correct.
I have no issues with a sticker on a can. Actually, and it fits the style of this place. It gives you that feeling of like, some guy just made this back. Some person just made this back there, and smack. Here you go. Have it. You know, like it's just the lack of like styling and like making sure everything's perfect. I love that, and I think it fits this brewery perfect. And being there, it fits the beer itself. I'm not a sour person, but this is sour. It tastes like a rainbow sherbet, which is also a flavor I don't like.
For 2.
So raspberries, pineapple, all there. All those flavors are there. So I have nothing bad to say about it because, like I've always said, you're gonna call something. It tastes like exactly what I'm expecting.
Yep.
You know, I'm not gonna. If you order this, you can't hate it because it literally told you what it was before you got it. And so for me as a sour, I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's a 4.25 for me. I personally don't want it again. But it's a good beer and it's a good flavor. It's doing everything it's telling you it's doing. So I can't give it a bad score because I actually think it's just great. Like yeah. Because we're not supposed to score it on what we think of it necessarily. But...
Right. No, I think that's a perfect response. I don't think you have to delve too much further into it because My response is similar, different palate, but very similar. I think it's a solid 4 for me. So kettle sours are exactly what we talked about. It's the intro sour. This one doesn't punch me in the face. I've had a fair amount of wild fucking sours, and I live in that world.
Oh yeah.
If it's Brett anything or wild yeast anything, fucking put it in my fooder. I'll try it. So this one's actually really calm to me, and I agree with you 100%. I get all of the flavors out of it I should, based off of the label, based off of what it's supposed to be. It's not terribly tart. I'm 3/4 of the way through it. I don't have any heartburn, which is a beautiful thing as a 60-year-old man. So honestly, I think this is a great kettle sour. I agree with Nathan. I think it's a great intro sour. If that's in your palate, like, kettle sours are a great place to start until you get comfortable with picking out the flavors, and then go on to the wilder shit and be able to pick that out even further. So it's solid 4 for me. I would actually have another of these, which is rare for me in the sour world.
Yeah.
But I think this one's pretty tame. Like, it's.
See, I couldn't do another, and I'm drinking this thing slow. I'm already getting the tongue burn that sours sometimes give.
Really interesting.
Something about me tonight, I think. I think something with the sours is just not. So for me, like, I wouldn't want to do another one. I feel like my tongue's fried.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's not a bad thing, like, necessarily. That's what's funny. It's
right.
Like, does it
and so this is what we always talk about on the show. If you're unfamiliar with the show, the goal for us is not to gauge beer based off of if it's our favorite style, if it's a flavor profile we don't care for or do care for. It's all about, so you claim this beer is a kettle sour. You claim it has this, this, and this in it. Well, let's judge it based off of that.
Yeah.
And based off of what you told me was in this beer, based off the style you told me what this beer was, fucking nailed it.
And is it can I still drink it? Because you could still make a pretty terrible, like, there could be
100%.
beer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's always the same for me. Like, sours aren't deep in my repertoire when I go to a brewery. Like, I'm gonna drink what I know I like. I'm gonna get a decent lager. I'm gonna get a weird IPA. I'm gonna get maybe a stout. Sours are never my first go-to, but good sours made well. I can do that all day long. So
what's crazy too about this? I don't know if anyone's seen our Warheads reviews of the Warhead beers,
but you should check that out.
These are more sour than the Warhead beers. This is more sour.
You think so?
Well, I mean, that doesn't say much because those Warheads I didn't find very sour.
You may have I don't know if it's a taste impediment. It's like a speech impediment, but no, this is not more sour than the
Warheads were nothing.
Oh no, you may have a taste impediment. I don't know what that's called. I got to look that up, but
I should not have been smoking cigars before this show.
This beer tastes Cuban.
All right. Well, that was great having Nathan. I'm glad he got to pop on.
Yeah, me too.
It was unexpected. We were not expecting him to make it. So it was really nice that he was able to do that. And we do have another show next week. Do we not?
Sort of.
For those of you who've been around for a while, we tend to pre-record our holiday shows. So the tradition's back. You can sit around the fire with your family at Thanksgiving, eat your food together, pop the TV on at 8:00 at night, and
we'll be drinking Warheads beer. And
it's just going to be our Warheads review. We're going to do a pre-recorded Thanksgiving show. It's just going to be us kind of having a beer together, talking about Thanksgiving, and doing some really nice. We're just going to hang out. So hope that you can come back and watch that. If not, you can watch it another time. It's pre-recorded and it'll be up there.
Yeah, and we have 5 beers in the wings already that are pre-spoken for. So the show's going to keep going. Don't worry. We didn't try sour beers one Thanksgiving, and we're never going to do the show again. You're safe. So make sure, as always, like our pre-recorded stuff, our Instagram stuff. Again, our social medias are basically where you can just find out that Phil lives in paradise and Tiffany and I drink our sorrows away.
pretty much. Yeah.
I think that's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah. So we'll see everyone live back here in 2 weeks, but enjoy our Thanksgiving show next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Daniel.
Phil.
Bro night.
Bros out. I'm very aroused.
God, me too.
It's upsetting that we both are.
Sounds about right.
Mm.
It's the sour. It just
feels even righter.
The sour's got Viagra and it just
It's the
threw me right up.
The bacillus. Read a book.